All right. What's up, guys? I'm Bill,
Hey.
and we are Be Fast Running. And we're here today to go ahead and talk about a session based on tracking the champion that is you. And this is a whole session that we're going to be focusing on how you can go ahead and use technology to go ahead and track your important data when running. And we're going to go ahead and look at the most popular applications that a lot of runners use in Garmin, Strava, and MapMyRun. So for what we're looking at, today is talking a little bit about our testimonials and a little bit of like a tech intro into how to go ahead and utilize these things. I will preface and say that a lot of these applications over here can go as deep as you really want them, but in terms of just like looking at it for like a starter, if you're not already utilizing these pieces of technology, you will get a really good breadth of information from this short session that we have going on here.
So Bill's going to kind of lead the way on this talk, but I'll be chiming in with some of my own experiences using these applications. And hopefully we'll give you guys a good kind of introduction.
Absolutely. So before we get started, some of the resources that we have besides these applications in terms of how to go ahead and utilize your data in the way that makes the most sense. You can go ahead and contact our local running stores, within the Running Place out over Newtown Square, Scranton Running Company in Scranton, Pennsylvania, the Bryn Mawr Running Company with 4 locations, one in Bryn Mawr, Media, and Westchester, and then the Emmaus Run-In in Emmaus, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia Runner in their 5 locations: Center City, University City, Glen Mills, Manayunk, and the King of Prussia Mall. So we'll go ahead and start out first with being able to utilize the different resources that a runner may look to go ahead and have in their arsenal when they're starting off. And one of the things that is really important for any runner is a watch. So making sure that you go ahead and have a device that is going to go ahead and be able to track your miles. Right now, we're going to be focusing over on utilizing Garmin devices or GPS watch devices. That is because that is what is most common for runners to go and purchase, and a lot of what the stores that we just mentioned is what they carry. But if you even just have like a regular digital watch or an Apple Watch or a Polar, like whatever device that you have, like you should still be able to utilize these resources as well beyond Garmin. So before we get into these applications, let's go ahead and first like talk about like why is it even like important to go ahead and you know track your data? Like why do we care about like these numbers? Like we got in the run for the day, isn't that good enough? Like what's the big deal, Emily?
It can serve different purposes depending on what your goals are as a runner. Um, One thing could be that it helps give you a little motivation. It's kind of nice to look back at your old runs and kind of see how far you've come. And when you have a good workout, it's nice to look at the data and see your splits and feel good about yourself. So it can be really motivational. It's also good just to have a record of what you've been doing so that say you start feeling an injury coming on, you have a hard record of what you've been doing so you can maybe like get a sense of what might have led to that. Um, and you can basically make sure that you're increasing your volume at a reasonable rate and just kind of like keeping tabs on what you're doing is smart, I think, overall.
For sure. As an individual runner, if you're just like kind of like over on your own plan, I believe everything that Emily just mentioned. If you're a person that is working with a coach, or if you're someone that likes to go ahead and essentially like paint a picture of your training, like the data is incredibly important as well. We'll get into a couple like graphics that we have to go ahead and show. But when you're working with a coach, especially if you're working with Emily or myself, with a coaching plan, you're the one that is being able to go ahead and do your run. You're the one that is able to go and experience all the things that you see over on your own individual run. How do you go ahead and have someone understand um, exactly what you went through? Your euphoria and how good you felt during the run, or your pain, when you got caught in like a rainstorm and your run just kind of fell apart. Whatever it is, being able to paint that picture through numbers is a thing that's really important, because the numbers reveal actually so much to how your performance was that in that specific day.
When I'm working with someone, I like to look at things like their perceived effort on the run, their heart rate response on the run, if I know that they have a good heart rate monitor that is giving good data. Um, Obviously, like things like pace and distance are important, but the data can be even finer than that, depending on like what watch you're using and things like that.
Absolutely. So we're gonna go ahead and dive right now over into some of the applications over here. Starting with Garmin. Okay. So let me go ahead and pull this up over here. Very cool. All right. And we have our Garmin screen up over here. So when we look at Garmin, one of the things that you have within the watch is that you go ahead and run with this device over here. You go ahead and press the button over on the side, start your time, end it, save your time, and then plug it into your computer, and then it populates all over onto the web right over in this resource over here, which is called Garmin Connect. So this is an application that both Emily and I use, and a lot of runners are able to use as well because it's directly linked to your GPS device, and most runners are looking to utilize a GPS device to go ahead and track that hard distance, especially if they're training for something pretty serious. So when we go over into Garmin Connect, there's a lot going on here, and this is where we're trying to help you navigate through this. There's so much going on over here in your dashboard panel, and you can even customize like how much you're able to see over here. Um, it's really up to you how deep you want to go. In terms of like what we're looking for, in terms of just like looking at data and being able to go ahead and paint that picture, that's where we want to go ahead and be able to go ahead and look at the things that is a good introductory to utilizing this service. So first thing we want to do is go ahead and look at our calendar portion over here. So once we go ahead and click on our calendar, we get to go ahead and see a portion of like what we've been doing for the week, month, or year. We can give whatever snapshot we want. Fortunately for us over in here, we're able to go ahead and see a snapshot for how much like we've done over in the month, and kind of be proud of like what we're doing with our consistency, or like see if we need to go ahead and pick it up like a little bit. If you're looking for like the whole year, you can go ahead and see like how many days that you've run, how many days that you've taken off as well with the blank spots, how much is going on in your calendar over here. You can even go ahead and track your specific events, goals, workouts, training plans, activities, however way you want to go ahead and label them. Or you can even just focus it down to like a single week and measure things out to go ahead and see how you've been progressing along here. Um, you can also have like multiple activities in a single day. Most of these are runs because that's primarily what I'm doing. But you could have a run, you could have like a yoga session, you could have like a bike workout that you did, and you can have a day populated full of things, and it will all live over within Garmin over here, which is a fantastic resource to have. When you go ahead and look even deeper with the data that you're able to go ahead and have with Garmin, you can go ahead and shift over to activities. And within that, you can go ahead and have the specific activities that are broken down, and these keep track of all your activities for like all time. So I think I have things that go all the way back for when I like first got this watch back in like 2015 over here. So I have this run like down over here over in like Lake George that was run September 2nd, 2015. So these stay in over here, and the data that you have ends up like sticking around and stuff, which is pretty cool. So I wanted to go ahead and show off on here one of the runs that was really nice, and this is how deep, and when I say deep, like the data over here is just like I showed this to somebody and it's almost like they were right there on the run with me. So this is a run that was done over in 2019 in Tamworth, where it was a 21-mile run, and you can actually go ahead and like have the whole like map and how you like ran, and I can go ahead and click this play button here, and it has this little dot that goes ahead and shows the whole path like that I went ahead and ran. I went like out down at that tail end there, and then I'm starting to come all the way back to go ahead and run back to home where my car was parked over here. So it like goes ahead and shows you like the whole run that you did, and it even has over here like kind of like a heat map, like when I was slow, like when I was like fast, and that's relative to the average pace that I would go ahead and be able to put in as an individual runner. So when we talk about painting a picture for yourself or for a coach or whoever you're looking to show this data to, this is how you can get incredibly deep with this information over here. We have everything from the elevation to the average paces to your run cadence, like to how many like steps you're taking and stuff. This is some deep information and is incredibly helpful, especially for runs like this where it's a 21 miler. That's a serious training run. It's not like a leisurely, Monday stroll for 3 miles. There was a clear effort and intention here to go ahead and run a specific pace and to go ahead and look at like everything that happened, because this was a marathon simulation run over here, how we would train for that. So Garmin goes in pretty deep, and it's really worth it to have a device like this more than just to tell you how much distance you actually ran. It actually shows you so much more.
It's really cool. I use Garmin Connect as like pretty much my primary like running log, or that's basically where I get most of my data and use that to analyze my training. So I really like it. Another cool thing about it that Bill hasn't mentioned yet, I know you can do this on Strava as well, is you can input whatever shoes you have in your current rotation and track your mileage on all your shoes. So I think that's kind of neat too. Just you can keep on top of that and have a sense of when you might need to replace them.
Absolutely. So the next application we're going to go ahead and talk about is Strava. So the Strava is a great application that doesn't necessarily live over on your watch. Mostly it lives on people's phones. And this is more of a social application that we have over here, but it's not without being able to offer the data that you can go ahead and keep embedded in here as well too. Um, the cool thing with Strava and like to how I've been able to use it is I can go ahead and see it almost like the Facebook for running, and I can see what everybody else is doing over in their runs, and if I want to be competitive with them, I can do that, or if I want to cheer them on, I can do that as well. It's really up to you how to utilize the platform, and like the community that you want to go ahead and build on there is really up to you and who you want to add.
It's pretty cool. I kind of use it as, yeah, what Bill said, more of a social platform than as a place to really dig into the data of my training. There are a couple cool social features that I like. I guess the one of the big things that Strava is known for is the segments feature. So segments are basically just portions of road that are created by members where different people can compare their times, so you can try to get the record on a segment if that's something that motivates you. And another thing that's similar is the local legend feature, which means that you have been maybe unfortunate enough to run a certain segment the most times of anybody, I guess, over the last however long. And I recently became the local legend of maybe perhaps one of the worst places to run in Philly that I know of, because that's just where my local running route takes me. So that's my proudest achievement. Um, and I don't know, it is kind of motivating though. So that's why I like Strava.
It's an incredible platform, and it's free, as compared to Garmin, where it's like you're gonna need this device. If you're that person with that digital watch, you can actually have the opportunity to go ahead and upload your activity manually. So over here, you can go ahead and set a manual entry. So you can set in your activity and just like enter that in yourself. So if you want to be part of the social scene, you can add it in yourself. You can add in your distance over here, the duration. You can add in the elevation, like we just showed with Garmin, the date, the time. What was your activity? Did you run? Did you bike? Did you swim? Did you alpine ski? Did you canoe? Ice skate. It has all kinds of stuff. So it's a very active community, and it's not to be, alienating by any means. So that's is why we want to go ahead and show off Strava as well. If you have Facebook or if you have any social media platforms, again, we mentioned that it's very similar to that in regards to being involved in. You can go as deep as you want with it, or you can just use it as your own personal diary of logging, different portions of your runs. When we,
Cool about it, sorry to
yep,
interrupt, is that some professional runners put their training up on Strava. So it can be kind of fun just to see what they're up to sometimes if you want to feel really slow. So, or just get a sense of like what a professional like elite runner does, you know. So I think it's cool.
the spin zone on what Emily said is it can be a big motivating factor because you can eventually attain that if you work hard enough. So you just have to be able to put in the work just like those athletes. Everyone has a starting point. So we just talked about adding an activity manually, but we also talked about being able to, if you do have Garmin, you can sync Garmin to your Strava. So I've done that as well. So you just go ahead and enter in over into being able to set that up. So what you would do is you go over into the top, you go and click on upload activity, and then that's where you would go ahead and be able to get started with one of your devices that you're linked to. So if you don't have a Garmin watch, but you do have an Apple Watch, if you're lucky enough to have one, or a Fitbit or a Polar or any of these other devices over here, you can go ahead and sync your Strava over to those applications as well. But if you do not have any of these fancy digital devices, and you just have a watch like over on your wrist that doesn't sync up to the internet or anything like that, no worries. You can still enter in those manual entries. So great resources that we have over here. Like again, Strava is connected to my Garmin over here, so I've given it access, and I can always take that away too if I decide to go and use something else. So anything else about Strava, Emily?
All I've got.
Very cool. So the very last thing that we're going to go ahead and talk about as a resource is MapMyRun. So this over here is going to go ahead and be a resource that I've been using for quite a while, even before Strava and Garmin. And the reason that I'm introducing this resource is because for different runners that aren't really or kind of new to running, they may not know where to run. So Strava is a good community to go ahead and find out some routes, but I find that MapMyRun is incredible because of how long it's been around for. So the great thing about MapMyRun is that you can go ahead and actually you can search an area of where you're at. You can be anywhere in the world, search where you're at, and then after you search, you will go ahead and get populated different routes in which you can select and already run that are created. So in Philadelphia, when I search that out, there's almost 10,000 routes that are created by runners. So you can figure out probably something that'll be able to work, together, for you for it. I think you can, filter it too for the amount of mileage that you want to run, at least in between, or you can go ahead and figure out what you're, looking for exactly, within the location that you're in. If you are looking to go ahead and run in an area, but you don't want to go ahead and do a pre-created route just because it just isn't for you, you can actually create your own route. So the beautiful thing with this, and we're in Philadelphia over here, is that you can go ahead and actually plan out your route over here. So if I wanted to go ahead and start over at the Art Museum, very popular location over in Philadelphia to run from, I can go ahead and start just like manually like clicking in the way that I would like to go ahead and run, and it's going to go ahead and track for me the actual distance and how I'm like, proceeding. So if I wanted to go ahead and run um, 2 miles, I can just go ahead and just run out this far, and then I can just go ahead and click out and back, and it'll go ahead and send me right back the way I came and give me the total distance. I can also go ahead and click off different directions like auto follow roads, and I can go all over the place. I can just like cut through buildings and stuff. I can run over the river if I wanted, but this is mainly just to go ahead and do if you know like where you're at, and you know that there's like a place that isn't a road, but you'd like to go ahead and run through that anyway. So I will go ahead and undo this, and it's really nice to be able to have this as a resource as well, because creating your own route is really nice if you're just trying to go ahead and run something in an area that you specifically want to stick to, or even if you want to be creative and you're someone that does Garmin or like Strava art, and you want to go ahead and show off your creativity as well as like a really good run that you're able to go ahead and put in.
I'm looking at my MapMyRun account right now, and I haven't used it in a little while, but when I travel, I like to use it to kind of find places to run in unfamiliar locations. But my first route that I created was way back in 2007, which I think is kind of funny. I didn't know that still existed.
This
Not really
is
pertinent.
This has been around forever, and for me, like I have a couple routes back in 2011. I have these ones that are out and based over in Philadelphia. One of my favorite ones is the Columbus Boulevard Death March that I've affectionately named it. It's a little bit more than a 14-mile run, and the route over here, if you can go ahead and see, is going to be going from around the Art Museum, going all the way down Spring Garden, going all the way down to Columbus Boulevard, all the way to the Philadelphia stadiums, then up the famous Broad Street where the Broad Street run happens, going up north instead of south where the race usually takes you, and then looping you through Center City, and then up and then back over to the Art Museum. So a wonderful route that, the Death March isn't as bad as you think. It's actually pretty scenic, and it's wonderful to be able to run through.
Scenic Columbus Boulevard.
Scenic
For
Columbus
anybody
Boulevard.
who might be from Philadelphia watching this, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but
So it's really nice to have all of these different resources, available to runners. And this is just an intro, as like we mentioned. These are different things that aren't very intimidating to use because a lot of the work is already kind of set out for you. All you have to do is make sure that you're able to go ahead and get out and just like actually go ahead and put in the work to go ahead and do the run. So if you're willing to go ahead and do that, all this stuff is going to help be able to support you and be able to help you become just an even better runner as well.
well, really user friendly and it's fun to use too. It makes running more fun for me. So
So we will say that if you're looking for like a device to go ahead and get things started on your progress, to use Garmin, Strava, or MapMyRun, remember that you have wonderful resources over in the places that are supporting our stream right now. The Running Place out over in Newtown Square, Scranton Running Company in Scranton, Pennsylvania, the Bryn Mawr Running Company in Bryn Mawr, Media, Westchester, and then the Emmaus Running in Emmaus, and Philadelphia Runner locations in Center City, University City, Glen Mills, Manayunk, and the King of Prussia Mall. So we appreciate you guys taking the time for hanging out with us today and hearing about how technology can, just make you be a smoother and better runner. And we hope you have a great run next time.
see you next time.